Don't settle for bad socks. Get comfort and grip at an affordable price with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Choose from 18 different colors at puregripsocks.com.
At this point, it's become pretty normal for most football boots to be offered in a low cut and mid cut variation, where more often than not, other than the price tag, there really isn't much of a difference in terms of fit and feel. However, with the latest boots from Adidas, there is. And it's not a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the brand new Adidas Predator Accuracy.1 Low that I have here in the new Paul Pogba signature colorway. This, of course, is the low cut variation that is also available as a mid, retailing for the exact same $250 retail price. So unlike Nike, you don't actually have to pay more for the mid-cut variation, and just like the mids, it has all of the same features other than the additional collar. And you would think that maybe it's just some extra material that they've taken away, but in fact, the construction and fit of the heel does seem to be quite a bit different. Which of course calls into question, should you buy the mids or should you buy the lows, and what exactly is the difference between the two? We're gonna go over all of that in today's video as we break down everything that you could possibly wanna know about the Accuracy.1 Low, including how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, and if you are interested in a pair for yourself, you can pick them up below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. And really quickly, if you guys enjoy these brutally honest reviews, don't forget to drop a like on the video and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss out on my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2023. So first things first, we're gonna start with the weight, because that is typically one of the main differences that you are always going to find when you're talking about the same football boot in a mid-cut and a low-cut variation. Because the lows have less material, they tend to weigh less, but how much lighter are they actually? That's exactly what we're about to find out using a scale in real time, both in the same size, 9.5 US. We'll start off with the Accuracy.1 mids. They weigh in at 9 ounces exactly, the equivalent of 255 grams. Change the scale back to ounces, and we'll throw on the low cut variation, and you can see that they weigh in at 8.7 ounces, the equivalent of 246 grams. So a total of 9 grams weight savings with the low cut variation compared to the mids, which is something, but ultimately something that is not super noticeable when you're actually playing in the boots. Which brings us to the only other difference between the mids and the lows, and that is of course the cut, where you'll find that the low cut model aesthetically, I would argue, does look a little bit better. Not to say that the mid cut collar variation is ugly by any means, but you can see, unlike the mids where you have this kind of extension of elasticated prime knit, you do have a little bit of a prime knit edge, but it's cut significantly lower and straight across, with a little bit of a pull tab at the front to help with putting the boots on and taking them off, which I would argue is significantly easier with the low cut variation. And you have a little bit of an extension tail as well, which again, I think is aesthetically pleasing and isn't high enough to dig into the back of your heel in any uncomfortable way. Internally, it's still an internal plastic heel counter, and in general, the heel construction appears to be very similar in that internally you're gonna have this soft microfiber lining with fairly targeted padding, but a decent amount of it. It feels really, really soft and actually does a nice job of gripping your socks. However, there is a definite difference between the lows and the mids when it comes to the depth of the heel in terms of overall fit. Now, when it comes to fit and comfort, I want to be 100% clear in saying that I don't think the Accuracy.1 Low is an uncomfortable pair of football boots. There's going to be plenty of people that try these on and love the way that they fit and feel. However, if you are somebody that is sensitive to a shallower fitting heel, you will immediately notice that these fit in the heel area a little bit more like some of those shallow Adidas takedown models where there's more pressure down low versus what you're gonna find from other top end boots, including Adidas's own options. But for a lot of people, it won't be until you get the opportunity to try on the mid-cut variation where then the shallow fit of the low-cut version really stands out as just being less comfortable on your foot. And again, personal preference is a huge aspect of what I'm saying right now. There might be a lot of people that would prefer the fit of the low cut variation, but in terms of what feels quote unquote normal, I definitely think the comfort and fit and depth of the heel on the mid-cut version is what more people are going to prefer. And I realize it's not always possible these days to have the opportunity to try both of them on before buying, but if you are trying to choose between the two and you're really not that bothered about it being a mid or a low, especially considering that they are the same $250 retail price, more often than not, I do think that the mid-cut version is what more people are going to fit better in and find more comfortable. So something to be aware of. From a shape and width perspective, outside of what's happening in the heel, the two boots are identical. They have the same lacing system, same uppers, same general shape, plenty of width to them, but really good adjustability with the laces tied tight, where even though there is a decent amount of width to the shape of this upper, it does fit quite closely, and in general, the hybrid touch just feels really good against your foot. So from a width perspective, Accuracy.1 I think is going to be suitable for most foot types, even if you do have wider feet. And then when it comes down to sizing, I'm wearing both of these boots in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you are looking to get a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Beyond those three main differences, however, there is nothing about the low cut that sets it apart from the mid. It's still a hybrid touch upper that I think feels fantastic on the ball. You get your rubberized elements through the striking area, mainly on the medial side of the forefoot and toe box. That provides tons of additional grip on the ball, particularly enjoyable when shooting. You can just generate spin so much more easily than pretty much any other football boot. You have that grip texturing in the form of the little black rectangles on this particular colorway running along the outside that ultimately aren't all that noticeable in terms of actually providing additional grip. The lacing system does pretty much the exact same job in terms of being relatively central, but maybe pushed slightly to the lateral side. Again, no real difference coming from the mids. And then the sole plate and stud pattern, again, identical, a carryover from the Predator Edge, and ultimately one that I think works quite well. It's got good stiffness to it. You have the useless tungsten weight at the tip of the toe that still does absolutely nothing. And then the FG stud pattern that is more on the bladed side with these kind of sharper triangular shaped studs that do provide a decent amount of bite, but ultimately it's the same layout we're used to seeing from the Adidas brand. So if you've worn an Adidas football boot in the last 10 to 15 years, you kind of know what to expect. Overall though, probably the best Predator model in the last 5 to 7 years. So in conclusion, should you buy the mids or the lows? And as much as I prefer the look of the low cut variation, and in general tend to prefer the feel of low cut boots, in that I've never been a big fan of extra material around my ankle because of the slightly more shallow fit through the heel and slightly bigger opening that you seem to have with the low cut model. The mid cut version, in my opinion, fits better, is more comfortable, and would easily be my choice given the option between the mid and the low. Is the heel so shallow that it's a deal breaker like some of the takedown models from the Adidas brand? Absolutely not. I still think there's plenty of people that will find a comfortable fit from the low cut version of the Accuracy.1. But if you're asking me right now which one of these two boots fits and feels better on feet, it's definitely the mid.